Okay. Good evening, one and all. So, Ajit ji, I would like to welcome you to this special session of knowledge series that our business development coordinators, Dr. Pranita Verma and Mr. Sanjeet Sudhir, had initiated. So, this is the fourth session in the seven of a series, and we had a couple of our own members doing these presentations, and we wanted one special guest to address us. And thank you for obliging us and obliging our invitation to be here. So we will want to start this session. I would request our Secretary Treasurer Govind Mundra to introduce Mr. Ajit Chordia to the group.
Thank you, Govind. Although our speaker today does not need any introduction, I will try my best to do justice to it. It gives me great pleasure to introduce an honor to introduce our speaker today, Mr. Ajit Chordia. Mr. Chordia has been born and brought up in Chennai. After completing his schooling from Madras Christian College and mechanical engineering from the College of Engineering, Gindi, Mr. Chordia joined his family business, but it was never an alien territory for him. During his college days, he used to spend time with his business, and that's the reason why we businessmen are now getting familiarized with the terms of time value of money, compound interest, and all these jargons. It was never Ajitji had probably mastered this art in his early age. After taking over the Kivraj family business of automobiles, he has branded Kivraj as one of the largest and most trusted franchise of Maruti Suzuki, Bajaj Auto, and Honda in Chennai. The group also ventured into renewable power in the year 1996 and have gradually expanded to have a portfolio of over 20 megawatts of wind and solar power assets. He is also the promoter of Olympia Technology Park and a number of IT parks, residential buildings, townships, schools, and co-living facilities in Chennai. He has redefined the skyline of Chennai by venturing into real estate with the launch of Olympia brand. Mr. Ajit is regularly interacts with opinion makers for propagating the growth and development of the real estate industry and a green and sustainable development. With a vast and varied experience, he has also part of various trade and social bodies. Some of them would be that he is a chairman of Credai Legal and Litigations. He is the past president, Credai Tamil Nadu 2017 to 19, co-chairman of Indian Green Building Council, which is IGBC, Chennai chapter, past president of Confederation of Real Estate Developers Association of India, Chennai, past committee member of Indian Road Transport and Development Association, past president of the Federation of Automobile Dealer Associations, past chairman of the Motor Vehicles and Allied Industry Association, Chennai 2001 to 2002, and also the past president of the Rotary Club of Madras, Srinagar 2000-2001. Now, with we at BNI, as we say, with givers gain, Ajitji has also believed in giving back to the society. So he's also, apart from the business, he's also the past associate secretary of the SS Jain Educational Society, an 80-year-old body engaged in running 2 colleges and 6 schools. Some of the prestigious among them would be the Agarchan Manmal Jain College, Meenambakam, and the Shashan Jain College for Women, Srinagar. He's also the past chairman of the Kevaraj Memorial Dialysis Center, a unit of SS Jain Medical Relief Society, which runs subsidized dialysis centers. He's the trustee of the Anand Teeth Foundation and the Kevaraj Foundation. The family trust has established a higher secondary schools in Chennai. The group actively supports the cause of Shankar Netralaya, the Hindu Mission Hospital, Cancer Research Foundation, Chennai, Rajasthan Association, Tamil Nadu, Enrico Piperno Tennis Trust, Jito Administrative Training Foundation, and the Chennai Vision Charitable Trust through the CSR projects. Now, may I please hand it over to Mr. Can we hear it from Ajit ji, please?
Thank you, Govind, for this long introduction. So, like I told you beginning, so this is a small presentation. I just tried to package my thoughts. All of us have been at home for the last more than 3 weeks, and I've been also reading a lot, hearing a lot. Almost every day I've been attending one or two webinars, and uh, the world has changed. Never in our life we would have imagined that we would go through a situation like this, that we would be locked at home for such long period of time. So this is definitely what classically constitutes a crisis, and how this crisis is going to unfold, I've been trying to look at with whatever reading which I have done and whatever I've heard from the people and experts, and my own experience in the past. So if you see, the latest crisis which all of us would have seen was in 2008 2009, the global financial meltdown. So that was a big crisis which we have faced. And before that, there have been other crises, the oil price shock and other things which India has not experienced much. But this 2008, 2009 is very, very fresh in our minds. And I had personally endured quite a lot during this particular period. So I will just try to share with you the crisis which is there. What is it that it looks like to me? How does it compare with the past depressions which are there? I just tried to Google and went through certain notes on the Great Depression of 1930s. So the 1929 to 39. So for a 10-year period, there was a Great Depression which was there in US, and what happened in that, and what are the learnings which are there, and what could happen today. So with this, I'll just start my presentation. I'll just prepare some slides because it becomes easy for you to also relate. I can just give a monologue, but then I thought that sharing few slides will help. Press the green button. So this is the title which I had given because when Mrs. Verma had spoken to me about what title, I was just thinking, what do I speak on? So I said, I myself am looking at the crisis management, how things are going to turn out. Let me do some sort of introspection and do some reading. And I just, in a short period of a couple of hours, I tried to collate whatever I could read and whatever I could remember or recall. So if you see, the first thing is the crises. So once they erupt, they tend to spread rapidly, widely, violently, and indiscriminately. This is very rightly said. So this is a crisis which are there, which we are facing. I hope it is not, it doesn't come out like what is being said here. But in the past, this is how it has happened. Whenever they have come, they do spread very, very fast, violently, and it does not spare anyone. Two or three sectors which are there, so they are immediately, we are able to see them, they are to get impacted. So one of the first sectors to get impacted is the financial conditions. So the financial sectors definitely come under strain. So you would see, Karke, that the going was so good till about 2 months back, so we were all very, very happy. I myself had re-engineered. I had very good, I went through a crisis again. The residential markets of Chennai were deeply stressed, and we tried to reinvent ourselves by focusing more, moved into areas where we found, Karke, that the going is very, very good. We were into office buildings. Offices were doing very well. In fact, India has never had a better period as far as offices are concerned. We also moved into looking at the retail segment, that Chennai is grossly underrepresented. We tried to come with 2 retail malls also. So huge investments were made, and come this COVID, and things are expected to change. I don't know what is going to happen to the retail, how it is going to evolve, but then there are quite a lot of positive things also which are coming out of China, which I'd like to share with you. So it just doesn't take time from feast to famine. Any crisis which is there, this particular thing is bound to happen. So if you look at our own country, which is there, so one of the first thing which is going to get affected, which already impacted, is the shadow banking. So the banks are there, banks are far more resilient, but when it comes to NBFCs are what are now called the shadow banking. So they are to one of the first sectors to get impacted. You could have seen the stock markets. Stocks which were darlings like Bajaj Finance, which were at 5,000 rupees, is now come down to something like about 2,000 rupees. And Cholamandalams, which were there at 300, is now down to 150. And a lot of other stocks which are there like India Bulls and other thing are, just fast depleting in value. So you don't know where it is going to stop. So this is what happens world over. Even in 2008-9, you could see that the Lehman Brothers and the bigger and the smaller finance companies which were there, banks also get impacted. In our country, definitely we are looking at the shadow banking is on its knees, and there's going to be quite a lot of trouble for the banks. This has a very, very major impact. So if you see the dependence of the market, the business community has become so big on the NBFCs. A person like me who used to always deal with banks, we were also lured by the convenience of the non-banking finance companies. So we were wooed by the non-banking finance companies. Sir, take it. What is the rate you want? I said, yeah, I'm getting a 10%, 10.5%. Sir, I will give you a 10.5%. You don't have to go through sending lengthy reports and this and that for project finance, for acquisition. They made it so easy. The difference was only 1% processing fee. But then they were one of the first people to withdraw from the scenes also. Once the market turned bad, so they were the first people to run away. So this is the problem which is there. So already our country was having quite a lot of problem in the last 2 years. So we were seeing, at least my business which was there, the real estate and more particularly housing, especially the city of Chennai, was deeply stressed. So now that we have seen this COVID has hit this particular country, our country, and major parts of the globe, so we are seeing a sudden stop in economic activity. There is no way but this will devastate employment, trade, and investment. So if you really see, Karke, the numbers which are coming in as far as unemployment is concerned, it's very, very scary. In US, the unemployment has jumped from 7 million to 26 million. It's almost 33 million is the latest number till last week. That is the unemployment which is there. So it is before this crisis, it was just at about 7 million was the number. And today it is at 33 million. So it's almost jump of, just like how the COVID curve has been jumping, the unemployment claims there are jumping. So today it is said that almost 20% to 25% of the workforce in US is unemployed. India is no better. So even in India, if you look at the CMIE data, I was just trying to go through CMIE data, I was not able to see. That is again a sample because we don't have jobless claims. So we can't estimate the exact number of unemployment which is there. But even in India, from about 7% unemployment rate, sometime in the month of February and early March, it has now jumped to almost 24%, 23, 24%. So that is the number which are there. I don't know the exact dynamics, whether it takes into account all the construction workers which are there, they are migrant workers, they are unemployed. So the curve has gone up this high, but it doesn't look to me the same. But what is going to happen after the companies are going to open up? Again, there are going to be job losses. So this is the most scary thing as far as this particular crisis is concerned. Post this particular crisis, how is it that the markets are going to, how is the GDP first going to recover? Whether it is going to be a V-shaped recovery. Initially, we are going to see a dip. All economists are uniform that the first 2 quarters, we are going to see a fall. It's going to be a steep fall. If you see during the global 2008 global crisis, the map which is there, there was a sharp down. In US and all, the economy had contracted by, it was -4%. And in developing countries like India, from about 7-8%, it had come down to 3-4%. And again, it had jumped. So if this is the type of recovery, then I think we are very, very safe, because we may see a pain for just about 2 quarters or 3 quarters. And thereafter, the markets will revive. And we should have very, very good sales and overall growth which is there. But if it is going to be a U-shaped thing, in that case, the pain is going to be much more. A lot of businesses are going to get, devastated. And L-shape, which is very, very, very unlikely. It is like the Great Depression. For years together, the GDP remained at a very, very low level without any growth. So that is the chart which it is showing to you at the bottom. I will just take you through the Great Depression. It's a very, very interesting thing. So what happened in the US in 1929, the markets were at its peak. Again, maximum, almost all people were investing in shares. The share prices were just going up. The stock markets were booming. Almost everyone was investing in stock. Everyone was borrowing money and investing in stock. That was the type of situation which was there. And then the stock market started tanking, and the depression lasted for 10 years, right from 1929 to 1939. And the stock prices came down by 90%. So what was the pre-depression rates which were there, and the end of the depression, they were just left with 10%. But then the unemployment rate which was there in US at that point of time had peaked in the year 1933, and this peak unemployment rate was was about 25%. And today, in 2 months' time, in almost 2 months' time, we are looking at today an unemployment rate even in US touching 25%. The way the stock market crashed in 1929 is totally different how it has crashed today. There was probably in 1 month it had crashed by about 20%. But here we have had in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks, the stock markets in US and India has crashed by 30%. This depression in US had changed the habits. If I see my grandparents which were there, the way they used to live, it was frugality. It was there was nothing, use and throw was not there. It was reuse and recycle was there. Everything which was there was reuse and recycle. So these are the trends which had emerged even in US during this Great Depression. It's quite possible that our people, our elders also which are there, probably they had lived in this particular era. So that particular thing also got ingrained. I could remember my grandparents would never throw anything out. Even a piece of paper which is there, they'll just try to keep it and try to reuse it. They would be recycling almost everything. They would never let go anything a waste. That was the Great Depression which was there, where untold misery was had come upon the people of United States. India was not that greatly impacted, but then US was greatly impacted. Then comes the 2008 meltdown. So this is very, very recent in our memory. We have all seen this particular thing. Post Lehman, August 2008, I remember the Lehman crisis had come, and the market started crashing. It all again started into 1929. It was the stock market bubble which was there in US, which had brought this particular, the Great Depression. This financial meltdown came on account of the housing crisis. So there was a huge housing boom. Almost everyone was buying homes. A person who could afford, who could not afford, and the prices were just going up, up and up. And everyone was borrowing and then topping up the loans and then investing in another home. So ultimately, the market had cracked and there was a steep fall. But the good thing was the recovery was V-shaped. India was also not insulated. In India also, we felt the pain of the US meltdown. Even in India, we had steep fall. I remember what happened in those particular days in 2008, 2009. It was extremely scary as the world is coming to an end. That was the experience which I had. But good thing was the quantitative easing which came in US, and that was the same route which was followed by almost all other economies. A huge amount of money was pumped in by the Federal Reserve in buying the assets which were there, and that led to recovery in US housing took at least about 3 years. But in India, the stimulus was announced in February 2009. There was a 4% cut in excise duty and service tax, and banks were directed to finance. So you had, the market started booming. In fact, we had a very, very, very good run for the next 2 years or 3 years we had, because the government had unleashed a huge amount of money was thrown in the hands of the people and the markets recovered. But what was the problem? This is my own experience. I was over leveraged in 2008, 2009. The first pain I felt was when the interest rates went up, when no money was available. I said, I don't have the money to pay the loans which are there, because, and as far as apartments are concerned, there are no sales. Cancellations were more than the sales. Every month there used to be a demand that I need money. Someone would say, I have lost my job. I need money back. One fellow would say, I'm not able to pay. My husband is suffering from this disease and that disease. So on compassionate ground, please cancel and return the money. So every month the cancellations were more than the bookings, and cash flow was not there. It was harrowing experience for people like us who were leveraged, and it was thanks to the stimulus which was there and the banks came forward that things returned normal. But this had taken a huge toll on me, both mentally and physically. I was stressed. So it took a toll on my health. I almost lost 7 kgs of weight just on account of stress, nothing but stress. It's not that I was working or I was not eating or anything, just palpitation and stress. But I took the bold view at that point of time is I need to create liquidity, sell whatever could be sold. My stock portfolio, which was there, these were legacy stocks and other things which were there with me. They were all long-term holdings, but I didn't bat an eyelid. I need to sell. I need to create liquidity. I started selling the stock. My stockbroker would say, Bhaiya, it has now come down by 3,000 points. I said, sell, I need money to complete the project, or I need to, I had one more automobile project was there. So I need to complete that. I need liquidity today. Again, another 2,000, 3,000 points. I said, sell further. I need further money. Thing didn't stop. It came down steeply, the market. I remember from 16, 17, 18,000, the index which was there, it came down to almost 8,000 was the index. But I kept selling at every point. Whatever asset which I could sell, I sold, created liquidity, completed the project, did not default to the bank. So I think this is something which is there, very, very important. Being over leveraged, you have challenge. Liquidity which is there, try to create liquidity as much as possible. Sell assets which are there, whatever can be sold, please try to sell in case you are over leveraged and are not in a position to meet the market demand. Again, these are my learnings from my experience. I would today look at ring fencing certain personal assets and my family members. I went through the, Naren had sent 2 slides of that last 2 speakers who had come. They had covered some very, very important topics which was there. So I don't know, I would love to get from you the copy of his presentation which is there. I'd like to see. Because one of the things which he had spoken was about the ring fencing of the assets and insulating the family members. So this is something which is very, very important, which I've learned. In 2008, everything of mine was mortgaged. My house was mortgaged. My shares were there. Everything was mortgaged. I didn't have any free asset which was there. But today, my learning which is there out of which is that at least you need to draw a line. To what extent are you going to leverage? What are the assets which you are going to leverage? Maybe if you're just starting business, then it is one part that everything is going to be leveraged. That once you reach reasonable amount of comfort zone, I think you need to take serious planning that you ring fence the certain assets, the personal assets which are like homes and certain other personal assets which are there, or the legacy stocks which are there, which you have investments which you have done. You are not going to use that for your business. Reduce leverage and save for the rainy day. Yes, it's extremely important. Having everything on investment in business is one particular thing. Not creating any other investment and alternate investment is not something which is right. You need to create this. I had started that particular thing over a period of last 7-8 years. Though the requirement from the business has been very high, but still we have been trying to invest and trying to create alternate assets which are there, which are not going to be part of the business, which is what most of people call as a family office. What is being done in the family office is nothing to do for the business. Those particular assets are not going to be leveraged. They will remain with the family and they are going to remain ring fenced. Third is, do not depend on one business. I know BNI, every one of you are from business, you're from the trading or professionals which are there. Do not depend on one business. Once one particular business has stabilized, please do look at alternate, have one more business to fall back. God forbid, if you were to be in the business of tourism today, or a travel agency today, or a hotel today, the comeback is going to take a very, very, very long time. But if only we were to have multiple businesses which were there, it is definitely going to help you in the long run. Again, this S4A, this is a scheme which had come from the government to restructure the bad loans which were there. So we had seen that after this 2008-2009, the government came with this S4A scheme for sustainable. The scheme was very simple. The government said that today, if we have to restructure the loan, you will not be able to pay. So how do you go about? So they told the promoters, which are the assets or businesses which you think you will be able to run, keep that separately and run that out. Balance of the portion of your loan which is there is not sustainable. The power projects which were there, people who were into the contracts which were there, that they said that they will not be able to recover the money. They said put it in a separate bucket. The banks converted that into equity, and sustainable debt was what was carried over. The balance of the debt was either converted into a long loan of 10 years or 12 years with low interest in the initial periods and ballooning at a later date, in the hope that if the business which is sustainable in the long run will be able to make good that. At least the businesses were to survive. Similar thing is what I would like you to, just look at this particular thing. If at all anyone were to have a problem, sustainable component of the business, please ensure that it continues. Which is not sustainable, please leave it. Even if the existing business is there, that if there is a problem, leave that particular aside. If it cannot be salvaged, if it is going to have a problem, at least start something else which is there. Don't give up hope, because after every burst, there is going to be a boom. So after every recession, there is going to be a boom. Next, which is there is family support during the period of crisis. So today, 21 day of this lockdown, which is there for 40 days, which are there, we are at home. The family support has been there. Once the businesses open up, in case there is going to be a stress with the business, the support of the family becomes very, very important. Without the support of the family, I think it is going to be very, very difficult. I went through this particular problem. I told you, for 6 months, I was going through huge stress, but I had full support of my family, my wife, my kids. They were my source of strength and inspiration. The next is, do not compromise on health, fitness, and something which is called meditation, which is there, which much talked about it. I think everyone should adopt this particular thing. This is very, very important. I live by this particular mantra. I do spend every day 1 hour on meditation. During this lockdown period, 2 hours I am spending on yoga, as well as my running and swimming, which is there. So health, fitness, and making meditation as a part of your life, I'm sure it will help you to endure any of the stresses which are likely to face. Now come to COVID and the recovery which is there. So recovery which is there, yes, there is going to be a problem. I hope that though a lot of people are spelling doomsday that this particular lockdown has only shifted the curve, India cannot be an exception to what is happening in US and Italy. So the number of people who are going to be affected are going to be very, very high. Rajiv Bajaj talks of herd immunity. You should let all people to let them gain immunity, let them suffer, no problem. But the economic impact is much more important than to have this particular isolation which the government has created by lockdown. Come what may, I think the recovery is going to be there. It is going to be fast. I am of the view that you are not going to see an U-shaped recovery, but we will be seeing an V-shaped recovery. If the pandemic is under control, it looks like the governments have taken very, very good effort. And whatever it is, our climate and our immunity and whatever vaccinations which we Indians have been inoculated with, it has helped us a lot. So the recovery is expected to be fast. And if the recovery is expected to be fast, we expect by the third quarter of the year, the recovery should be there. Fourth quarter, again, the recovery should be there. The government, the RBI has come with very, very good support by unleashing almost 4 lakh crores. And yesterday's paper, if you could see, there's almost 7 lakh crores of the bank's money which is lying in reverse repo. That means the banks have placed the money with RBI at 3.75% interest. Today, it is less than their cost of operation. The savings bank account, they pay probably 3.75 and 4% as interest. Thereafter, their operating cost, which is there. So today, keeping money in RBI is definitely not the solution. The 7 lakh crores will have to be deployed by the banks. It's only a matter of time. I think the next stimulus which is going to come, the government will give an assurance to the bank to bear some first loss, whatever they're going to give to the industry, because today the banks are so much averse to risk that they would not like to lend money. So the money supply will be eased. Good thing is the food is available. Huge stock of food is available. I was just Googling the data. FCI godowns and everything are full. And the rations which are Rabi crop is also, bumper Rabi crop is there. And that season is also there now. So we are not going to see any shortage of food, and the prices are going to remain benign. But economy, even before COVID, was weak. So to that extent, but barring stock markets, I think very few businesses were doing well. The e-commerce had played its own card, and most of the businesses, small businesses and medium businesses, have been impacted. And post-COVID, MSME is going to face the maximum brunt. Uh, there are expectation of huge credit defaults which are there, but we just hope that it is not going to be something like the Great Recession, what happened in US. The defaults could be contained with the asset classification, giving one-time restructuring and reclassification norms of 90 days getting extended to 180 days, and then going forward, further benefits being given. I'm sure that the banking system will not collapse. The recovery is going to be very, very fast. These are something I think we are going to see the practices which were there. A lot of practices are going to change. Travel, eating out and entertain will not vanish. I will share with you the China experience. It will not vanish. They will continue to be there. But it's quite possible there will be a change in the way in which people approach either travel, dining, or because the experience of seeing something on a TV is something, and then visiting and seeing, let us say, the season which was there, the tulip season in Japan. So today they had to erase the entire tulips. They just didn't want the crowding. They didn't want the tourists nor the locals to come. But then visually seeing tulips is one particular thing, and seeing on picture is different. So I think that particular habit cannot be changed. It is only a matter of time. There may be changes which are there, but these things will come fast. So these are the learnings from China. It's a very, very interesting report. You can Google and see Cushman and Wakefield report of 2020, very recent Cushman and Wakefield report, which is there. It came in just about 2-3 days back. On 21st of April, this report had come. And so this particular report gave very, very surprising thing. Even China was on lockdown. Wuhan lockdown was there for a longer period. Other parts of the China also lockdown was there. Post-lockdown, how the people have behaved. And something very, very interesting. Of course, they have digitally mapped almost everyone. So everyone is being given the app. It's probably similar to Arogya Setu, but Arogya Setu is a very, very difficult app to develop. So it may need to undergo quite a lot of change. So this is very clearly mapped whether the person who's entering is in red, green, or orange category. So is it in hazard or it is in no hazard? The people would get to know whether he has come in contact with someone or not. Those type of things have are easily mapped, and that particular data is available with for everyone to see. Masks, temperature checks have become normal. Almost everywhere people are going with masks, whether it is traveling in road, even in offices which are there. Every offices, even here we had started this thermal imaging and temperature checks. So they have become very, very normal. Surprisingly, social distancing has melted away. So this is what the report says. They could only for a few days, they can be there. You keep 2 meters away. That's not possible. Today, you see the elevators there are also crowded. People are standing in queue. Even in buses, you are seeing people are there shoulder to shoulder. It is not that I will take the next bus, or everyone are going to take cars and then go, or everyone is going to take a two-wheeler and go to our work. And retail also has been very, very surprising that the malls are started seeing good traction. We must have read about Hermes selling some $20 million in the first day or first week of opening in a couple of stores there. So that was also reported. So cross-selling, in fact, they're seeing some revenge buying. So after this so many days of shutdown, once the malls have opened up, people are going there and buying like anything. It's like a mania which has been there. So that has also been noticed. Work from home is well adopted. This has become a new normal. But no specific initiatives have been taken to de-densify the office. Like we expected, we have 100 square feet per person occupancy norm in the office. Probably the new norm will be 150. But that has not happened in China. But it is too early to say because only 60% of the offices have, 60% of the population have started coming to office. So to that extent, there is a de-densification, but no specific efforts are there to change the furniture layout, the way in which the people are seated. So learning from China, which is there for us, is again health and safety measures. in every building becomes critical. I'm from the building community. I'm a realtor. So to that extent, these are the measures which we have already started adopting, replacing the filters from 10 micron filters to 2.5 micron filters, to catalytic dust collectors, which are there, UV, other things which are there in the air conditioning systems, using sodium hypochlorite, disinfecting more frequently. Those particular things are all being built. New SOPs have been created, and we are trying to bring in. So building technology adoption is also becoming, what I told you, whatever could be done to improve the indoor air quality and safety. We are trying to get that from the best practices, and we'll be looking at investing. Residential sector has emerged as a very, very buoyant asset class. This is very, very surprising. People have started buying homes, and buying homes has become something very, very important in China. I don't know. I'm not able to really come to terms what is the psychology by which people are coming, but they say that work from home has also triggered in the minds of the people that I need to buy home, and so that he's able to work. He's going to stay in a hostel or he's going to stay in a rented apartment, he's probably not able to do. Perhaps the security which is there, that buying at home will give him more security. So, but come what may, the report, almost 2 reports I went today, also CBRE had come out with a report on China. So even that said that residential housing sector has emerged as a very, very buoyant asset class. People are definitely, there looks to be a surge in people buying homes. If this happens in our country, I think a lot of stress which is there in the banking sector and the entire industry will come down if there's going to be a spike in the residential apartment sales. So growth forecast, China will recover, come to normalcy by third quarter 2020. And if things don't turn bad in India, then by fourth quarter, even India is going to see a very, very good recovery. So the next is in India post-COVID, if China is any indication, like I told you, fourth quarter, we are going to see good amount of recovery in the country. We will be seeing growth which is coming in again. The new mantras which are going to be there is going to be automation, artificial intelligence, cloud computing, work from home, social distancing. I'm not an expert in this, but I'm definitely trying to, even before, during this particular period of lockdown, listening to so many people, I have decided that I will be hiring some a chief technology officer, so who is going to be able to develop whatever I need in technology. But I myself am not well versed onto it. I'd rather have someone who would like to develop in-house capability so that we are ahead of the market. Make in India policy, I think that had itself brought in good amount of interest of the foreign manufacturers to come. This is going to be something which could be a game changer for our country, and not only our country, for the entire region. Make in India, which was launched by the government, I think is one of the brilliant moves by the Modi government. So much of mobile phones were being imported, and now bringing in that these need to be manufactured in India has really made a lot of difference. Our Sri Perumbatur belt, which is there, is buzzing with activity. And now with, even before this COVID, you had this trade tension between China and US. That had also brought in quite a lot of people to look at alternate base then to China. And with this COVID, there's a huge amount of resentment, and by, you could call it a revenge. People would like to have alternate. Today, there is no choice for the world but to look at China for manufacturing. And we will be seeing good amount of manufacturing coming into India. And coming into India, one of the best places which is there, one of the best ecosystem which is provided is by Chennai. You will see the areas of Sri Perumbaturs and Oragadams and the Red Hills and beyond that particular area, those industrial belts which are there, they will be buzzing with activity. As it is, we are having good amount of inquiries. In fact, we are negotiating with, we are in touch with a couple of people for fulfilling their industrial requirement. E-commerce again is going great guns. Amazon is looking at expanding. Flipkart is looking at expanding, and they are setting up huge centers which are there. So this is a bright thing which is there for India, and more particularly for Chennai, which I thought I should share with you. So this is my final slide. So this is my few experiences which are there. Going forward, for business to succeed, resilience and agility will be most important factors. We must be resilient. We must be in a position, our businesses will have to be designed to survive these type of shocks. These types of shocks which are there are going to become more common. More than that, we need to be agile, because when our businesses are going to become extinct. We don't know when an Amazon or a Flipkart or a new technology coming in, or a new app being developed by someone, and our business is going to get wiped out. So we need to be agile, and we must be in a position to adopt technology. So these are the two new mantras which are there, is which I could gather in the last few days. So these are my few of my thoughts. If you people have any questions, you can ask me. If not, you could mail it to me, and I will try to give my opinion, which is there. Thank you very much.
May I have, is my voice audible?
Yeah, Prasann.
Good evening. I have one question. This scenario, what we are facing, the crisis, the next couple of 3-4 months, you communicated that your liquidity of your assets help you to survive. But looking at the culture, manage the employees for next, if the lockdown extends for another 3 or 6 months, how are we going to support the staff, the labor part management?
I fully agree with you. It's a very, very challenging task. Even companies like us, which is there, even for the shutdown period, we are not in a position to make full payment. And even in businesses where we are able to make full payment, we are not making full payment, only with a view to tell that things are not good. You need to understand that there is a problem, and that can, if I were to pay the salary, entire salary which is there, then it will be expected that things are normal, there is nothing wrong which is there, but things are pretty bad. And some of my business, like automobile business which is there, I 1 month's salary and 1 month's interest is probably my 10 months of earning. So if in 2 months, if I am not able to have any income, and if I have to pay rent and AMCs and security, housekeeping, which is part of the salary itself, I can take. In that case, I will not make any money for the whole year. This is my case where I will not be making money. But if there are other people who are there, they will probably lose. Even for the whole year, if it comes to normal, they will not be able to make money. We need to find a balance which is there. Government has done right thing by telling that please pay salary. We are trying to ensure that the money is going to the customers with the employees, so that at least they are not left high and dry. We have taken a view that for the next 3 months, we are not going to retrench any employee, because like I told you, as the CMI data is very, very scary, 25% is the unemployment rate. And if the business is open and if we start retrenching people, what will happen? So it will run into huge chaos. So I'm sure government will come with some sort of a package. Obviously, government cannot give to everyone money, and the Jan Dhan program also, where they gave, it was the 2,000 rupees per person plus that 15 kg rice per person and other things which were given. So there's a limitation for the government. Yes, it is going to be pain. So to that extent, the stimulus becomes very, very important. I remember in 2009, if you look at the stimulus which came, there was a 4% cut in excise duty, and market started going up like anything. Car sales and where all started booming. Banks were running behind us to finance cars. Used to have State Bank of India general manager coming to our office, taking us for lunch. General manager of State Bank of India is extremely powerful. His powers are as good as, in those days, he was more powerful than the chairman of Federal Bank. So he would come to my office and take us for lunch. Mr. Chordia, how much cases are you going to give this month? Thoda bataiye, thoda push kijiye. He said, what is the problem, sir? He says, no, I have to give the figure to my head office. My head office is on a daily basis being monitored by Ministry of Finance. There was one secretary who was looking after how many car loans have been disbursed. So if the government really wants, they can crank the economy. And once they crank the economy, the jobs are going to get protected. So I don't know how long the pain is going to be lasting, but as it is, we have suffered a lot. But this 1 month has been almost 2 months we have lost. Coming forward again, we don't know how many days it is going to take to things to turn normal, because you won't have all the people coming at the same time. 1/3 of the people coming, 4-5 days it will take to sanitize the place and then to start. It is really a painful thing, Prasanna. There's no answer. But I will only say is that we should support the employees which are there to whatever extent we are able to. There's a limitation of every business. So within the limitations, we need to support. The last thing should be in our mind is to retrench people.
Hi, Ajit Bhaiya, Varun here. I have a small question for you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to understand, in your construction sector, which sector do you think could recover fast?
See, there is I residential sector going forward. For the simple reason, I feel there's a huge inventory. People are not interested in buying homes. Buying homes is not because the prices are not going up. But the China report is throwing some different numbers and figures. So I wish we also have that particular thing and the residential sales go up. But offices are expected to remain buoyant. Even in 2008, 2009, post the global meltdown, more offshoring had increased. So more number of jobs had come to India. So last year we had record absorption of office space in the country. This year it is going to come down from 45 million square feet. It is expected to come down to 30. But to that extent, even the supply will get delayed because a lot of projects which are there, they would stop. They may not go. They may slow down. Everyone would like to wait and watch. So I don't expect vacancy levels to go up. But again, all reports which are there, I've been watching all the analysts. We have had calls directly with the MD of Anarock and JLL and others. All are of the view that again 2021-22 we will be seeing good amount of office supply. Industrials are doing very well. Godowns, warehouses, they are something which will be the new investment which everyone is going to be looking at. So residential continues to remain, but I'm not very positive on residential. But offices, yes, maybe for 1 year it is going to be pain. Second year it is expected to rebound. And social distancing and work from home will not impact offices because assuming even 25% of the workforce were to work from home. But then social distancing will ensure that 33% of the office will need to be kept empty. If you add 100 people, you need to work with 60 people in office now. So up to 30 people working from home, you will still need the same amount of office space. So some of the clients with whom we have been negotiating, even during this lockdown period, our negotiations are going on. So these are something very positive. So warehousing, godowns, industrials, they seem to be the top pick. And then comes office and then comes residential.
Ajit Bhaiya, Surendra here.
Yes, Surendra.
Hi. You were talking about multiple businesses. Do you think that year 2020, it is advisable to start any business or try to stabilize our existing business and do trading in the side, or what did you have in mind?
Now, what I said, when the going is good, save for the rainy day. So when the going is good, please look at alternate. Today's situation, there is no point in looking at any new business. I have 4 new projects which are there where we have purchased land. Just 4 days before the lockdown, we purchased one particular land. While issuing the check also, I was worried, should we tell the bank to issue the check or not? Let us hold it. Let's go ahead. So all the 3 projects where we have invested, we are not going to start work for the next 3 months. So we will wait and watch. There's no great hurry. 3 months as it is, employees are not going to be available. Construction workers who have gone are not going to come back soon. People who are locked down here, even they will be going back to their native place, and how fast they will come back, that is going to be a challenge. In fact, Deepak Parekh in his address has told very clearly that you will have to incentivize, pay more, and ensure these migrant laborers come back fast from Bihar, Orissa, and Bengal so that the projects which are there can start. So starting any new business at this point of time, no. It's to stabilize your existing business and then only to look at new.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ajit. We have a couple more questions. So we have next in line, we have Mr. Nitin Bansal, so who is an iron and steel trader.
Good evening, Ajit ji.
Yeah, Nitin, how are you?
I'm that about the world. I'm supplying steel to builders. So now it's a very difficult, as you said. So just I want to ask you, still because of construction labors are running away and the financials are very weak for the builders. So how long you feel this may take for the steel manufacturer? Because we are depending on builders, simple. As builders get orders, then only we can supply to them. Otherwise, our manufacturing unit will have huge stock and pile up. So how long you think?
No, we will have to wait for the stimulus which is there. So once the government of India, next couple of days, see, unfortunately, I was talking to now just before this presentation, we were in call with the chief economist of HDFC Bank.
Yeah.
So he was also telling that the ability of the government of India to come with the stimulus is very, very, very limited. So they may come with a stimulus which is probably worth 2.5 to 3% of the GDP. So it's not going to be substantial like US and other economies like China and others which they have come. But within this particular thing, the stimulus is going to be there. As of now, it is only the monetary easing which has taken place by the RBI. So that itself has given good amount of signal and money. And once the stimulus comes, I won't be surprised if from September we will start seeing resurgence which is there in demand. But first quarter is lost. Second quarter, I don't see anything great happening. People will be there just, today banks are not willing to lend. He says, if I lend, where is the money going to come? So the government will come with a policy under which they will say, okay, I will guarantee the first loss. You give 5 lakh crores, up to 1 lakh crore is my loss in this bundled pooled asset, that TLTRO and others where they come with bonds. So government may come with some sort of a scheme that I will guarantee 20% of the loss of the pool or individual loss, which is their first 20% I will take. Some sort of a comfort they will have to give to the bank. This is what the HDFC Bank chief economist was telling. Without that, the banks will rather keep money in RBI than to lend. And interest rate benefit will not flow to the customers because of the risk aversion, because AAA rated borrower will get at 7%, 7.5% today. But anything less than AAA, which is there, earlier the spread would have been 40, 50 basis point. Today it will be 100, 150 basis point. For the simple reason, bank will say, was, let me take extra money. At least this extra money will help me to meet the losses. So we will not see steep reduction in interest rates for the business.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ajit. Next, we have Mr. KK Chaudhary, who has a question. He deals with pavers block and aerocon panels. KK Chaudhary, sir. I don't know. I guess there is some issue with KK Chaudhary's audio. We will go on now. We also have one more question from Ankit Goel from Goel Granites and Marbles. Ankit?
Hello. Yeah, I'm audible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Ajit sir, with regard to the automobile industry, do you feel with the, with this current situation, COVID-19 and social distancing norms, there would be a positive impact on car and two-wheeler sales? Would you feel that we can see a huge surge in those parameters?
No, I absolutely, I don't subscribe to it. The only thing which can a surge is only the Rabi crop, which has been good, and the tier 2 and tier 3 cities are not greatly impacted by, and the agriculture is not impacted by this, marginally impacted by COVID, because prices are not going to go up. So that is the only impact which will be there, and the support price is there. So the rural economy is what is going to drive the auto sales. And with good harvest which is there, and the good monsoon which has been predicted by the Indian Meteorological department, IMD. So I expect, and the bank funding which is going to come, that is going to drive. But cities like Chennai will not see anything great in numbers, not much. But Coimbatore, Erode, Salem, Tirchi, Madurai, they are going to see very, very good numbers which are there as far as automobile is concerned.
Thank you. Thank you, Ajit. Requesting members, if you do have some questions, you can just type in me in the chat box or raise your hand. We will unmute you so that you can ask the question directly. In the meantime, can we have something to hear from Dr. Pranita Verma?
It has been a great session. Thank you so much for participating. It was very interesting, Ajit, when you presented China's data as well, because we wouldn't be looking at all the analysis, and it was quite an eye-opener. you, and I will pass it on to the next question. So let us complete the questions, Govind.
Yeah, so we have the next question coming from Mr. Jay Krishna Nair, so who is into wooden floorings and net floorings. Jay Krishna Nair.
Good evening, sir. This is Jay Krishnan here.
Yeah.
Sir, I just wanted to know
Yes.
how do you think the retail market is going to be like in India post-COVID, sir?
I think your voice is cracking.
Sir,
Can you repeat
good
it?
evening, sir. Yeah, I just wanted to know how do you think the retail market is going to be post-COVID in India, sir?
Retail market of what?
Retailer market of interior products or the construction industry retail market, sir?
See, it is again dependent on the economies. Today, let us say if I am a manufacturer, I am a consumer of paint. I will paint my house only when I will have money, mine to spend. I will just tell you in 2009, 2008, I had to buy a pair of shoes. Post August, I deferred. नहीं अभी नहीं खरीदना है. अभी नहीं खरीदना है. You tell me for 6 months I did not buy a pair of shoes. It is in the mind which was there. Well, not that 8,000 rupees or a 10,000 rupees shoe would have made a big difference for me, but it was not there in my mind. The last thing on my mind was to buy a shoe which is there. I said, no, I will not buy. I will go to the bazaar, market, Phoenix Mall, but I said, no, I'll buy later. I was procrastinating. If this was my mentality, you can imagine everyone's mentality will be the same. So unless there is a buoyancy in the market, the aftermarket which is there is going to take some more time to revive. The first to revive is going to be the builder community which is there, the projects which are there. So there is going to be a buying. After that only we will be seeing retail buying.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. We have one last question from Mr. Arunachalam, who's into freight forwarding.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Good evening, Ajit. Thanks for your session. It's really very useful. Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes,
sir.
Yeah. Sir, actually, I'm in logistics business. Just I want to know, in this current situation, which other industry will be doing good, because I deal with the corporate clients and like manufacturing and aviation and media companies, industries. Could you please suggest me which other industry may do good in upcoming future?
No, see, the question is for the first 6 months, there is only a recovery phase which is there. But if you're supplying to media and those type of industries are not going to be impacted, they are not impacted. So, but the question is, if you're looking at cement and steel, then yes, it is going to take some more time which is there. If you're dealing with automobiles which are there, even that is expected to take some more time. So on the whole, the logistic business has been so badly affected for the last couple of months, and not being able to pay the installments and paying the drivers, diesel. It's been harrowing. I know of friends of mine who have been big fleet operators. They've never had this type of crisis. Even before this COVID itself, they were having the problem for the last 4 or 5 months. At least people who are dealing with automobile trucks as well as who are dealing with cement companies. So because the consumption was down. So it is only consumption will have to drive. So for the next 3 months to 6 months, which are there, 3 months is going to be definitely, it is going to be recovery. It will be a miracle if the government of India's policy were to get translated into demand immediately. I wish it comes true, but generally it is expected that only by June, July, people will start looking at investing. The government money is going to come. The road projects will be there, airports are going to be there, and ports are going to come in. They are going to be PPP projects. So once they announce the project, he buys the cement and steel, and the transport will improve. So overall economy will come back to this one. It is only going to be if this pandemic is contained at this point of time. So it all depends on that. It is not that going to 1 month later, 1.5 months later, again we are going to have, God forbid, one more lockdown. Then it's going to become a bigger problem. Because suffering this type of paying employees wages and daily wage earners not getting money, it is going to lead to social unrest. So it's going to be a serious challenge. We hope that the lockdown will be a thing of the past, and the COVID will be under control. Financial stimulus coming in. Only in the second half of the year we will be seeing good demand. If the demand comes, it will come across the board.
Thank you, Ajit ji. So we have, before we go on to one more speaker, Dharmesh ji, who has a question for you. There was one question in the chat box, so which was from Ajit, who's into gold jewelry. He wanted your forecast or outlook on gold jewelry in India. Is there anything
Wrong
different?
person, boss. I have nothing to do with gold. So the question
Or
is, I am
your total outlook on the bullion or the USD markets,
no,
US
no.
or
What people say, gold will go up to 80,000 rupees next year. All those particular things are there. But personally, when I come as a gold as an asset class, yes, it is good to have gold as an asset class. But unfortunately, my views may not really help our friend the Ajit who has asked this question. Because I would rather invest money in the gold bonds, the sovereign bonds, which gives me gold at the same time. It gives me 2.5% return on investment, rather than buying physical gold and taking care of that and not using the gold, and how much of jewelry are you going to use. So it is better to buy a sovereign gold bond. Yes, gold as an asset class is good. Even if it gives you 2.5% return, it gives some return rather than just buying gold bars or gold jewelry and then keeping it. So that's why my views would be totally different from on especially investment in gold.
Thank you. So, one Mr. KK Chaudhary, who was into Pavers Block, who has a little audio issue, he's asked that most of the laborers in the construction industry are from North India. So, if the lockdown is that, if they do not come back, it would have huge impact on the industry actually working and coming back into its steps. So, what is your suggestions in this regard?
No, I think, see, there is going to be a challenge in India as it is. If you see in Tamil Nadu, I have not seen during my grandfather days, there used to be Tamil people who used to be, the Tamil laborers used to be there in the construction site. Little later, it used to be only Andhra people used to be there in the construction site. In the last 20 years, which I've been watching, last 15 years I'm there, I have not seen one Tamil laborer, not one Telugu laborer who's there. And it is only Bihar, Orissa and West Bengal where we are seeing the laborers who are there. So as economic progress takes place in these states, so to that extent, the labor availability will come down. But we need to appreciate automation is coming in, new technologies are coming in. They will take. There is going to be a temporary problem. If the laborers are going to go, so like I said, till June, we are not going to see the laborers coming back. Existing laborers will also go. It will be a crisis as far as the construction sites are concerned across the country. We will have to pay extra and then ensure they come back. So they will come back. Again, will they come back before Diwali, after Diwali? Is a big question which are there. But we will find alternate technologies which are there. You have
factories.
Yeah, no, precast housing. You have aluminum formwork where the labor requirement has come down to just 1/3 of what is there in a conventional this one. So we don't have to worry about that. It's a matter of time. It's only wait for another 3 months, 6 months. But as it is, automation is going to come. Even this particular business is not going to be left untouched. As it is, if you go to L&T today, L&T will not take a job, conventional construction. They say, no, we will not do. You have to give me residential home. I will do either a tunnel formwork or I'll have to do aluminum formwork. Aluminum formwork, he says, where I require 600 laborers required. If I go with aluminum formwork, I require only 200 laborers. So the technology will come very fast. Let's not worry about that.
Thank you. Thank you. He also has a question, though there is much of COVID impact there in US, why the dollar rate is being stable? If you have a take, and or we can go to Dharmesh.
I think I can talk on this academically. Tell him to come offline. I can have it. It's not worth talking here. I'm fresh with talking to the chief economist at HDFC Bank. So he has also given his views, but it's a total different thing.
Okay, Dharmesh ji.
Ajit ji, thank you for a nice eye-opening, or probably rewinding what we have been seeing, and probably giving clear on how the future is going to be and how we need to be prepared for it. I would like that construction industry, as you were saying, had come down to quite an extent, at least for last couple of years in Chennai, and infrastructure also was down. We were expecting that to improvise, in over a period of time, and now with all this coming in, and ideas of MNCs coming into India, and probably expecting Chennai also to be one of the boom. But with a lot of this unemployment and other things that is expected to increase, how well are we equipped in Chennai? Because we were also expecting some elections to happen this year. So do you think that Chennai is going to have that kind of a development happening in near future?
Dharmesh, when the stimulus is going to come, it will impact the whole country if it is packaged rightly and if it really comes. Because let's accept it, some of the best brains are working with the government. So it is not that they would be consulting only the IAS officers who are there. They would have some of the best economists who's there. They would be working professors from IIMs and from University of Chicago, you name it, Booth School, whatever it is, from the top colleges, people are there to advise the government, and they will come out with a really good scheme. You will see a huge amount of stimulus coming, not only from the central government, but even state government. One of the important thing which is expected and which logically should come is slashing down the stamp duty for purchase of any property for a period of at least 1 year. It is not slashing down permanently. They say you buy a property before March. They may not even say buy a property before December. Only 2% is the stamp duty. अरे कुछ पैसा आ ही नहीं रहा है, कुछ तो आएगा, ऐसे करेगा तो. It is not only property which is going to get sold. Money will come to the developer. Developer is going to complete the project. He is going to buy cement and steel. Cement and steel is going to give the GST revenue which is there. The transporter is going to get money. So it's a chakka jam situation which is there, will get released only by spurring the purchase which is there. So we will be seeing state government will not be an exception. Each state government will compete with the other state government in coming with a better stimulus package. Fiscal discipline is definitely going to be a thing of the past. At least it has been kept in the back today. So there is going to be, and the best part is because the food is very good stock is there. In spite of this easing of money and excess fiscal indiscipline, still the inflation is not going to be a threat. So for the next 1 year, 1.5 years, we are not going to see any inflation which is there. So if the stimulus comes in the right package, state government supporting it and removing supply side constraints, I am sure we will be having a very, very good time in the second half of this particular year. And people have been talking about that, after the World War II was really bad time which was there. Post World War II, it was something like a golden era of capitalism. So the thing started just booming. So every problem which is there, every recession, when you come out of that particular thing, there is a boom. So we should prepare ourselves for the boom also.
Thank you.
Shall we take the last question, Govind? And I think we can take the rest of the questions on mail, Govind. We'll take one last question from Swaminathan. And if that is okay, sir, with you. The rest of them can connect with you on mail later after the session.
Yeah, so we can unmute Swaminathan.
Hello.
Sir, who's a
hello. Is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Ajit ji. Actually, your this seminar is very informative and it is very useful to us. Like we are in construction industry. See, I have a small question. What is going to be the financial, since you have high-level tie-up with the banks and other financial institutions? What would be the bank support for the construction industry? See, if there is any problem or the economic problem, whatever happens, the first industry going to hit is real estate industry. So that is what is happening in all these days. Like how the banks are going to support in future, for the real estate industry. How do you feel it will be happening?
See, there is what I told you more particularly about Chennai and Tamil Nadu. As it is, the construction activity has been badly hit for the last couple of years. So the developers who are there are, as it is, in stress. Inventory is very, very high.
Yes.
So the question is, one is giving some sort of a support to the developers and retailers is one particular part. Let us say a cement supplier who's there, or a tile supplier is there, or a paint supplier is there. Supporting them is one particular part that will have a very, very limited impact, because They can only give depending on stocks which you have, what is the margin which is there. They can at best give a moratorium of 3 months. But after that, if your stocks are not high to support the funding, inventory funding, or your sales are not there to support the repayment, or your receivables are much higher, so and the with more than 90-day receivables are high, then the banks will not come forward to support. The only saving thing is going to be the asset classification norms will be tweaked to help in this point of time. Like now they gave a 3-month moratorium. So one reorganizing the debt, restructuring of that is expected to come. So they will give some sort of a breather to the borrowers that your account is not going to go bad. What your existing limits are there, they will continue to be there. But the biggest benefit is only going to come only if I'm able to sell the material, buy material. Only if my sale goes up, only then it is going to happen. So for that, the home sales will have to increase, the offices sales will have to increase. Only then the people are going to buy raw material, clear off the old bills, buy new material which is there and go forward. So the stimulus benefit is going to come only after we can see only, it will come, it will definitely come.
That is true. Do you think that government will support us, like, for home sales? Definitely that the government has to come forward to, reduce the stamp duty or some sort of.
They will come, sir. Central government is there, state government.
Then the sales will improve.
It will. So there's a big list which is there with me. I can share it with you. You could come offline, which Chordia has taken with the government. 3 days back, there was a call with Hardeep Puri, who is the Minister for Urban Development, Housing and Urban Development. He has asked for the data. He has said both Chordia and Nardeco both come together. You are asking something, they are telling something. In Tamil Nadu, we say that, boss, we don't want 5% GST. You give us input, you charge 12% GST, it is better. Whereas Bombay fellow says, no, I will pay 5% GST. I don't want to have 12% GST and input. So we have said, keep both the options open. Number of benefits have been sought. Government will have to find ways and means of spurring demand. If not, they will not get any revenue at all. How will they pay salaries? So we should be confident that demand will pick up in the second half of the year. So thank you very much, Dharmesh.
Thank you.
BNI. So in fact, this BNI seems to be more of focus only on construction and construction-related businesses. Probably dominate your members. I would like to thank Mrs. Verma for having invited me to share my view. Please note, I am not an economist, neither I am a well-read person. It really, my eyes and ears are open with what little I hear from 5-6 people and 5-7 seminars and what little I could read. With that, I try to collate, and from my own experience is what I have tried to share with you today's presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Just before you leave, I would like to call upon Sanjeet if you're there. Sanjeet, if you can do the official closing.
Yes, Ajit, thank you so much for this fantastic session. I think you're lying when you're saying that you're an economist. I think you've spoken, like a full-fledged economist. And I can tell you that coming from an economist and a finance background, this is a session that was very useful for all of us. We have seen this, highest registrations happen for a particular Zoom session. So I think the takeaways of resilience and agility is what we're going to take away. And also the fact that you have promised to your workforce of non-salaries for 3 months. I think that's a great initiative that we should all try to emulate in our businesses. But Ajit sir, wanted to thank you for sharing from your own challenges, from your personal experience of 2008, 2009. Right from the stress levels that you went through, your 7 kg loss, and all these are personal details that really we are very thankful to you for sharing. Your learnings that you have put forward, I think, is something that all of us have been taking notes on and will try to inculcate in our businesses. You have shared very important things like ring fencing our businesses, reducing leverage, family support, and try to diversify into more. So these are things that we will definitely try to implement.
Also, you have shared some, details on recovery in India, and we hope, just like you have mentioned, that this 4 lakh crores of stimulus will really help our economy on track in Q3 and Q4. Also, some very interesting facts that you shared with us from your, China report was this concept called as revenge buying. That's something we all not heard of. And and also you mentioned that something very unexpected was the increase in residential asset purchase. So that is something amazing. And I top it off, you said make in India is something that will grow, and being in Chennai is the right place. So, on that positive note, even though the situation is down, we want to thank you once again for taking, your time and effort. You have really prepared so well for us, and we can't thank you enough, sir.
It was a pleasure for me also. Thank you very much.